Any tips for new loan officers?
So I am not a loan officer, but I can kind of speak from my own experience being a brand new agent, and I think that the same concept can apply. So I'm going to give you the map of how I was able to go from just being a new kid that nobody cared about, that didn't know anything, to now a top producing agent. So the first thing that I did is I found somebody that was willing to teach me, that was a top producer themselves, and that believed in me. So when you're new, and in this case, if you're a new loan officer, you have to be really careful who you go to work for. Because if the environment that you're in is not conducive to you growing and growing quickly, then it's gonna be really hard for you to make that leap. You're gonna have to do it by yourself. And what I can tell you is that if I were not at the brokerage where I decided to go to, my growth would have been way slower, and I wouldn't have had the learning opportunities that I was able to get. So number one, find somebody, whether it's a broker or a mentor, that believes in you, that is willing to give you opportunities, and that has experience. And then point number two is be willing to do whatever they tell you, right? Like when I first started, I knew that I had to put in the time, I had to put in the effort. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was willing to learn. I was willing to go do showings for very little money. I would go out, I would show homes, I would drive all over the place, pay for my own gas and stuff. So I was willing to sacrifice in order to learn. And I did that for like 5 years. Like literally for like 5 years, I would go do showings everywhere, from Utah County, Salt Lake County. I would go to Ogden, Roy, and I was just out there doing showings for very little money, but it allowed me to learn. And the last thing is you have to be patient, right? You have to be patient, and once you learn all of the skills that you're going to need, you have to put them out there. So you have to create content, you have to create value, you have to put yourself in a position where people can see you, and they can hear you, and they can feel you, and you can start to build trust that way. So that's kind of the map that I followed. Once I had the experience, I do shows like this, I do radio, I do podcasts, do all sorts of things to get people to see me now that I have the knowledge, so that I can put it at their disposal and actually help them. But it takes a ton of time, it takes a ton of effort and humility to be able to get there. So that would be my map to anybody, whether you're an agent or a loan officer, to get started.